Good morning, friends. So, yesterday, whenever I published my short little video about the cellmate, the Greene County cellmate that was interviewed by Stan Hancock and told him that she just couldn't believe Gypsy did such a horrible thing for a guy who was even cheating on her. And that, even though we know Gypsy's been saying that for a long time, none of us really believed it because Nick just didn't really seem that capable. Like I said in the last video, didn't seem that capable of having hoes in different area codes until we got the Facebook messages. And I'm like, oh, he was talking to other chicks, like, sexting kind of thing. So, once I got that video up, several of you told me in the comments that you hadn't seen those messages and hadn't realized. So I thought today I'm feeling a little better. Something we'll do is just read out those messages. Now, Nick doesn't really have an easily mimicable accent. So, what I'm going to do to differentiate between Nick and the other speakers' voices is I'll just try to do Nick very monotone. That way, they don't kind of all run together. You know what I mean? Our first set of messages here is with someone named Megan Elizabeth, and this was March 19th, 2014. This is almost to the day 1 year before Nick and Gypsy met at the movie theater. They had been in an online relationship for about a year and a half at this point. Okay, Megan says to Nick, "Why are you trying to add me with this profile when you have that other one?" Nick says, "I'm going to make this very clear for you. Either you add this one and I get rid of the other one, or I delete this one. You aren't going to have both of these on my profile. And if you don't answer me, I will just delete both of them because I am not going to play your games." Megan Elizabeth says, "I'm sorry, I forgot my password. Keep this one, please." And Nick says, "Okay, this one it is then, Megan." Nick also says, "There, I added you. Now don't forget your password for this one because I don't want to keep going back and forth as if it is just a game." That one was sent March 19th, 2014, 21:14 UTC. At 21:15 UTC, just a minute later, Nick says, "Is someone busy or trying to ignore me?" Megan says, "I won't. I'm not ignoring you. Sorry, I was putting food away from the store." Nick says, "Okay, so busy it was, I see now." Megan says, "Yeah, sorry, and I'm scared to go out at night." Nick says, "Why is this?" Megan says, "Robberies keep happening here." Nick says, surprising." Megan says, "Yep, they are always targeting places where there's only one person working at night." Nick says, "Makes sense." Megan says, "Yeah, stupid ass motherfuckers." Nick says, "Well, you might say that, but it isn't stupid if they are targeting places where one person works at night. It's more like a place where there are four or more, Megan. Now that's stupid." Megan says, "Yeah, I guess you're right, but they need to stop doing it." Nick says, "They would if everyone had a gun because they would be afraid to get shot, Megan." Megan says, "I guess so." She's trying I'm gonna break in here real quick, y'all. This is annoying me a little bit, and I think it's probably actually a symptom of Nick's autism because she's trying to have like a light conversation with implied meanings, and Nick is going extremely literal with it. If I am not interpreting that right in some way, I know a lot of you know so much more about autism than I do and have a lot of experience. Please feel free to correct me in the comments, friends. I welcome it. Okay, so Nick says, "Yes, and because of it, someday I'll have a firearm, but for now, I just try to keep a knife on me whenever I can." Megan says, "Oh, I see. Well, sorry to cut this short. I gotta hit the shower." Nick says, "I figured as much. Okay." Megan says, "Sorry, please don't be mad." Nick says, "Hmm, let's just say you talk to me more often and I won't be." Megan says, "Okay, I will for sure, because lately I've been hurting." Nick says, "What kind of hurting?" Megan says, "Guys keep hurting me, saying they like me, and the next time saying we won't work out on dating. After one fucking night, I'm gonna give up, I swear." Nick says, "Megan, quit saying that. You keep running to me because you know I was the only ex that ever treated you right. And not only that, but if I was ever to take you back in the future, you feel as if I was the only one to make you feel like a woman. Yes, I know I am reading your mind. It's okay that I am doing that. Just know, though, if I really mean that much to you, that it would be wise to never push me away. Only try to get closer to me if you ever want me to be all yours." Megan says, I never really tried to push you away. I never intended to do that. I will bring you closer and closer to me and never let you go. Smile. You have been the most amazing person in my life. Smile. Nick says, I am aware of this, that sorry, y'all, I gotta start over. I'm aware of this. I have been the most fairest and also the most kind person in your life. I suppose you owe it to me to pull me closer to you in time. And I am glad you agreed to do that because it is just about time that you do. Heart. Megan sends him heart eyes. And then she says, I guess you're right. It takes time for people to take me back, and it will take time for you too to take me back. Smile. Nick says, True, it does take time. And when the time happens, you'll know because it just naturally does. Never rush things, just let it flow freely. So that way it feels like it comes naturally, Megan. That is all we can do. Megan says, I never rush things. Guys always do. Guys always do it. You were the only one who never rushed things or pushed me to do things. You were always so sweet to me and loving and caring, and you always stood up for me. Smile. Nick says, Megan, just put it this way. I was always the one you wanted to marry. Don't lie. We both know you felt that way when we were together. But every time you have your PDMS, that is when you shook our relationship into something it shouldn't have been. I'm stronger than I was then. So if you ever felt the same about marrying me, just know that your PDMS days may go smoother as long as you aren't trying to push me away on purpose on any of those days. Okay, I got to break in here, friends. Everyone knows I'm not a big Nick defender. I've never been a justice for Nick person. So just, this is just an observation, but I wonder if this girl is putting up with him acting this way because it's so different. I'm curious. I haven't read the extent of his messages with this girl, but I'm curious to see how it ends up. I just wonder if he acted this way to her way back when, or if this is new. I don't know. Well, what do y'all think, friends? Nick says, I guess you had to go. Don't forget the last thing I said because I do want you to answer it when you get a chance to be back on, Megan. Megan says, I understand. I would have worked, but I wish my friggin' PDMS got in the way. I wish it would go away. I'm really wanting it to work someday, but I just have to wait and be patient, and it will someday. We will be together. I'll talk to you later when I'm back on. Nick says, Sounds good, Megan. Stay safe. Megan says, I will. You have a great rest of your day and have a great day, and we will keep in touch, and I will never let you go. Nick says, Okay, have a wonderful day too, Megan, and talk to you then. Then we go to the next day. We got Nick saying, Hey, Megan. And then again, Nick, Okay, so you are busy, TTYL. And Megan says, Hey, Nick, no, I'm not busy. Sorry, really slow to load my chat. And he says, Oh, okay. And Nick says, How has your day been? Megan says, Good until a guy had to ruin it by making me cry. You're the only one that treated me well. Now I have nobody. Sad. Nick says, I see. Sorry to hear he did that to you. Yes, I know I usually am. Well, your night will be as better as long as you think positively. Over time, I would think it will end positively, Megan. Megan says, Okay, you're right, Nick. Smile. I just wish I didn't suffer from depression because I do things that people don't like me doing. And once I've done it, they quit talking to me. He said, Why we won't work? Because I worry too much and I'm insecure and jumpy, and he wouldn't give me a chance. You were the only one who would give me a chance, and I wish we were together still to this day. Sad. Megan says, I'm a fuck up. Next says Megan. Now, what did I say about thinking positive? This isn't thinking that way. I know I was the one who not just gave you a chance, but many of them, even when sometimes I questioned myself why I did. I guess I always thought you would change and become better, is what I always believed every one of the times. Hopefully, one of the times is actually true. You did change like I hope you would, which is less bitchy and more positive. Next says, and yes, I am telling you straight as it is. Nick says again, because that is the me you know, Megan. Megan sends a heart eye sticker again. And then she says, Yes, I'm so glad you're not a fakey person. Smile. I hope one day you would see me as a different person and say, Hey, I like her and I'll give her a chance. I know it will take a while, but I'm never giving up. I'm strong, caring, loving, sweet, independent person. I still love you and I have a place in my heart for you, Nick, always and forever. Nick says, Megan, you, well, Yeah, let me start over, friends. Megan, well, you may be more independent than me in some ways, but the only difference is because the type of independence I choose is a more tougher one to handle. But that is just me, and you obviously can tell I still have you in my heart. For me to be this nice to you, have always been a smart woman. Megan says, "Thanks, Nick. Smile. You just totally made my night. You always find something nice to say or say something that is always true. I really wish I never let you go or pushed you away. I'm really sorry for hurting you, for being a complete bitch. I hope I can love you and be your girlfriend, but you're happy now and probably will be with this girl forever. Sad face." Oh, listen to this, friends. 3/20/2014. Nick says, "Megan, I am not happy at the moment with her, but I am being yet the same way I was with you towards her. I was always your rock. Well, I don't know how much more I'll take from her on this before I snap, but I keep warning her that it is due to happen sometime in the near future." Megan says, "WTF, you don't deserve to be treated like dirt. You're a royal, caring, loving, sweet person. What is she doing to you that is making you pissed? I'm here for you, Nick." Oh my God, friends, listen to this. Listen to this. Nick says, "Megan, before I even was to tell you that she did do something that actually makes her and me husband and wife by the laws of voodoo. So, by that law, she is my wife. However, it's just that she hasn't been on here enough to have me happy. I don't even get to say goodnight to her or 2 of these 3 days. I haven't had a proper goodnight tonight, and I didn't even get one on all 3 days. I didn't even get to talk to her more than maybe 15 minutes." Okay, friends, I couldn't stop laughing there because I've never noticed this particular message, even though I went over this document a few times. I believe it's over 2,000 pages. Like, there's a lot here. Okay, we've been suspecting all along because we know every time Gypsy accuses someone else of something, it's something she did almost universally every dang time, friends. And so we've all been wondering whenever she wrote in her book about Dee Dee cursing her with a cow tongue spell in a mason jar, which all of us who've ever been around butchering, any of us who've ever made tacos de lengua, we know a whole cow's tongue is not going to fit in 1 quart mason jar. But anyway, we've always suspected that Gypsy actually did some kind of voodoo and laid it on to Dee Dee. And I feel like this is kind of confirmation that she did. I remember seeing in her prison emails, she was writing, I can't remember if it was to Crying Ryan or to Melissa Moore. She was writing that one of her goals after she got out of prison was to go with a metal detector and dig up that jar, that she wants to destroy what was done. I think she still believes in her love spell on Nick. Now, she wrote in another place about doing a spell with, I think, a couple strands of her hair, some red yarn, writing something and tying it up. She probably put that in the jar with something and buried it herself, and then later tried to pawn it off on Dee Dee because, she had to have all these reasons that she had Dee Dee murdered so that she could get off and be, little Miss Innocent Rapunzel. Anyway, I will get off my rant here, friends, and get back to actually reading these messages. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Feel free to rant yourselves. Okay, then Megan says, "Really? Wow, she must want to talk to you. If she could have told you that she's busy. I don't get why she's being like this. I love you, hun, so much. I wish I could take you back and never let you go, Nick, or push you away. I will say goodnight to you and make you happy, but you're married, and I don't know if you can undo it." Nick says, "Megan, she warned me. It's permanent. Usually. However, every time I yell at her, it wakes her up on how she makes me feel, and she starts to treat me better again until sometime in the future then this starts. So if I have to let my anger out, I guess I'll do it again, since it seems to be the most effective way to get her attention." Megan says, "I see. I guess your relationship will never be over with her, which makes me depressed." And she spelled which makes me depressed as witch, WITC. Oh man. Okay. Which makes me depressed. I wish someone would make me happy. I'm afraid to tell you something because I'm afraid it will push you away and never talk to me, which I don't want to happen at all. Nick says, "Megan, if it has to do with you committing self unaliving, you have already told me and I was still around. So if it is that again, I am here today. I don't know." Sorry, friends. The way that he structures his sentences makes it hard for me to read sometimes because my brain wants to predict words that aren't there. Okay, let me start over and try this again. "Megan, if it has to do with you committing self unaliving, You have already told me, and I think I was still around. So if it is that again, I am here today. Don't know why you would think I would think different this time if you said something like that. But if it is something else, it isn't like I am not prepared to hear it. So go ahead and still tell me. Oh, oh, that's sad. She had an issue with self harm. I'm going to need to put a trigger warning in on this video. So she told to Nick about CUTTING. Nick says, Megan, that shit is unhealthy. I have always been your only friend. You told me you would stop that shit. I see you haven't, obviously. There is something you should realize. I am always going to be a different man than any other one you could ever meet. So, with that said, I am not going anywhere. And I wonder just how much you truly do love me. Because if you did truly, you would stop CUTTING yourself if it made me happy. And it would make me happy if you stopped doing that. Megan says, Okay, I'll stop. It was when I had no one to talk to. It was when you hated me and you wanted nothing to do with me. Sad face. I love you more than words can express. You're my rock, my light, my soul, my everything. Smile. You're more than a friend to me. You're my BF, even though you're taken. I'm trying not to get in the middle of your relationship, but you've been there for me when no one else was here and didn't want to be here for me. Nick says, Megan, of course I have been there for you. Like I said, I am a different breed of man. As for you getting in the middle of my relationship, I'm not worried about that because if anything, you love me like you do. You'll just express it freely and won't regret it. There is something I learned in life after being alive as long as I have. It's called don't refuse your feelings. If they are ready, don't hide them because doing that doesn't allow the soul to grow. And that is why I don't hide my feelings like I used to back in my childhood days. And I sure the hell hope you don't hide them either. I know you said you love me, so if anything, it will show by how you treat me while I am here for you. And Nick says again, as they say, live life to its fullest and no regrets. You only get one life, so make the most of it. I agree on it after thinking about it. I suppose that is how I can usually stay happy for as long as I can, Megan. Megan says, "Oh, thanks so much for being there here for me. Smile. My life has been rough lately. Lost a really close person to me of cancer. I will forever want you in my life and never want you to leave." Sad face. I just wish it could be at a relationship, but nobody wants me, which is true. Sad face. I want to be loved by someone. Sad face. It fucking sucks that I know a lot of people who are dating, but not me. When will it be my fucking GD turn? Sorry, I'm just letting everything out rather than holding it in. Nick says, Yes. But what about what I said about you loving me, Megan? I want to know because to me, I see it as you not holding back. And by you not holding back, it's letting out what you feel you need to, even if you may think it's wrong sometimes. You have to let out things just to feel better about yourself, hun. I say hun because, well, think about it, Megan. I will probably always have you in my heart. Even if I loved that girl fully, I could still love you. As they say, you either loved someone or you didn't and mine for you will always be there. So if you wanted to be more than friends by how we act, I'm okay with it. If you are, it wouldn't bother me, only because it is the way we feel. If we feel it, we should act it out so we let our natural self out. Megan says, Aw, honey, you have melted my heart. I love you so much. Smile. I know there's something there. I'll wait for it, babe. Smile. I know I can let it out on you because you listen to me and give me the best advice. Smile. Nick says, Hun, there you go. That's better. Don't hide those feelings. Let them out. I bet you feel so much better. So I have to ask you a question. It is a important question, and I don't know how you feel about it. So that is why I am asking it, since I am too much of a gentleman for my own good. May I ask you this question, Hun? Megan says, Yes, ask me the question, baby. Smile. You are a gentleman. Smile. Nick says, The question is, how would you feel if we let ourselves out at each other fully? Meaning you would be more than a friend, more than a best friend. You would be loved like a sister. And maybe if you wanted to be friends with benefits, and even if you wanted to be more, I would be willing to do it for you. Because as you can tell, I really do still love you. But you need to open up and tell me how much of this you are okay with. So let me put it in a question now. Are you okay with us being more than friends or best friends, or maybe even more than friends with benefit, or even further than that, whether it is the BFF or the other one, while I still love you like a sister too? Take your time to analyze this. I don't want to rush you as long as you give the answer to the question and how much of it you are okay with, dear. Oops, I forgot to monotone him, friend. Sorry, that was Nick. Megan says, I'm okay with everything. I would love it if you would love me as a sister. Maybe one day, baby, it will be as a girlfriend. I love you, bro. Smile. Nick says, Hun, I am even willing to love you like a girlfriend. Let me explain myself. And I hope you can understand my position because one who truly loves another is willing to listen no matter how much they may not want to. Hun, just because I know I am stuck in this marriage, it means I should make the most of everyone I love now because it is the only way I can be true to myself. Hun, please, dear, I am serious. If you were okay with being my everything, hell, I would be your everything. You must understand, she can't leave me and I can't leave her by what she did. We have an unbreakable bond. And because we do, I want to love those freely as I do. You are one of them. So please, let me express myself to you freely, even if that means being your everything I can be. I'll be happy to even if I was love you. Sorry, friends. Being your everything I can be, I'll be happy to, even if it was love you like a sister, like a girlfriend and sister. I have a big grin on my face to do it, dear. Heart, smile. Megan says, "Ah, honey, smile. I totally understand. I really wish you weren't married through voodoo, but I can't let it go. But I understand. I'm still really happy and loved. Smile." I can't stop laughing. I wish you weren't married through voodoo. And they haven't even met each other, friends. They have not even met each other. This is literally, we're still 1 year before they meet for the Cinderella movie, but also a year and a half into Gypsy and Nick's online relationship. Okay, Nick says, Megan, so what do you say to what I am telling you? Are you okay with being everything to me? Hun, tell me, please. Megan says, yes, I want to be everything to you. I want to make you happy. Smile. Nick says, I knew I could count on you. So, how many ways are we going to be to each other? Friend, best friend, or friends with benefits, or all those and all the rest we haven't mentioned? Hun, please let me know. Megan says, all the above, baby. Smile. Nick says, I'm glad, hun. Do you know why? Because she didn't ever really reassure me just earlier. Yes, she was on. And if you are okay with being all of the above, and even my sister, even a girlfriend to me, then show me it because I deserve it from you. And you know I'll return it back, baby. Heart, smile. Megan says, okay, baby, smile. That's terrible. She won't reassure you because how the fuck can you be with her? Why can't you break up with her? What will happen if you do, baby? Nick says, dear, it isn't possible by what she did. I will become physically unable to. She did a bond spell, and because she did, me and her can never break. Megan says, God, GD, I really want you back. Why did you do it? Why a bond spell? Nick says, Hun, I was afraid to lose her. I have always lost all my exes, so I had her do it so she wouldn't go on me. She already did it to me when I didn't deserve it. Then she come back shortly after that. She did that spell, and now it is unbreakable. Hun, now you understand why I want to love you and any other one I can that I really do love like I do. Because if you know I can't break it off with her, then I might as well express the most of all those I love around me because, well, dear, I feel it. I am going to express it. Megan says, yes, baby, but I want to be all yours. But you have her, and I guess I ran out of chances with you, and now I feel I've lost forever with you. Sad face. It sucks, but it's part of life. I'm sick of getting treated like shit and people walking all over me like I'm a pile of shit. Nick says, I know, and I was the only one who treated you right. Baby, don't go though. Please, I want to embrace all the love I have for you, and I don't want you to go, so please don't. Megan says, I know I won't, but I can't truly have you because that bitch put a spell on you, baby. Fuck my life. Nobody wants me, and now all I am to some guys is a fucking sex slave. I hate when guys call me a bitch, slut, whore, fat, ugly, FAT on a day to day basis. God, I have so much anger I'm letting out, I can't hold the shit in. Megan says, baby, I understand you are mad, but don't let it out at me like it is my fault. You know, I have always treated you right more than any other guy you have been with, and you are wrong. You might not be able to have me by a relationship, but it don't mean you can't have me physically, emotionally, and socially. Hell, I do think about you more than you may realize, baby. I'll always treat you like a princess with a naughty side, so that you may have a gentleman with a naughty side, since I know that is what you want. Heart. Megan says, "Okay, baby, you're right. Man, I'm fucking tired. I can barely keep my eyes open. Sad. I really want you so bad it kills me. Like, I can't truly have you 100%, but I gotta live with what I can get out of it. Smile." Nick says, "That's what I am talking about, hun. Have a great night's sleep. And just know you still have a gentleman here who is willing to do anything with you, as you are able to do the same with me, too." Heart. Smile. "Have a good night. Sleep, princess, because I want you to get that sleep and wake happy to talk to me tomorrow." Heart. Smile. Megan says, "Okay, good night, my king. Sorry to let you go, but I need to get my rest. I got to work until at noon till 7, baby. I love you, baby cakes." Smile. That cracked me up when she said, "my king, friends." Okay, Nick says, "Love you too, baby. Heart, smile. Talk to you tomorrow, honey." Megan says, "Good night, baby. Good sleep. I'll be dreaming about you, baby. I'm staying logged in because I'm afraid I'll forget my password." Nick says, "That's fine, hun. Just remember what computer you was using, and if you had it on, keep me logged in. That means you just have to click out of the browser, and when you get up tomorrow, all you have to do before you check on here, it should let you go straight to the homepage without having to log in, dear." Megan says, "Okay, sweetheart, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm really tired." Nick says, "Okay, baby, you do that. I'm going to do the same. And a last time, just to reassure you, honey. Love you, dear. Heart, smile. After you say it back, I'm going to click out so that way I know you were reassured too. Heart, smile." Okay, Nick sent that at 7:45:16 UTC. And 3 minutes later, 7:48:22 UTC, he says, "I guess you went to bed early. Okay, hun." Next morning, he says, "Did you forget to do something, hun?" And then Nick again, she hasn't replied yet. Nick again says, "Yes, you forgot to say something back to me yesterday, is what you did." And then Nick again, "Oh, then you log off about talk about you not handling it like I thought you would have. Heart." Megan says, she finally comes back and she says, "I'm sorry, hun. I fell asleep. I meant to respond. Sorry, hun. Are you mad at me? I'm sorry, baby. Love you." Nick says, "I was wondering if I was ever going to get that back from you, hun. Love you too." Megan says, "Sorry, baby. Love you. I have to be at work at 7 a.m. tomorrow." Nick says, "Yes, and work all day until what, 11 p.m.?" Megan says, "I work till 3, then got to babysit my nephews for a bit, then out to dinner at 5:30. Got a busy day tomorrow." Nick says, No wonder you weren't on much today. Okay, understand. Good night, hun." Megan says, "Okay, sorry, and I work 12/7 today and work early tomorrow. Good night, hun. Love you." Nick says, "Love you too, baby." Megan says, "Miss you, babe. Sad." Nick says, "Miss you too, dear. Heart." Megan says, "Good night, babe. I hope you sleep and dream happy dreams. Sorry to cut our chat short. Sad." Nick says, "Good night, hun. It's fine and love you, baby. Heart, smile." Then Nick says, he sent that in less than just seconds under a minute later. He says, "The least you could do is reassure me and say you love me too, dear." And like a minute and a half later, she comes back and says, "I love you to the moon and back, baby. Love you so much." Nick says, "Aw, now I feel like I'm loved, sweetheart. Heart." Megan says, "You're welcome, sweetheart. Good night." Nick says, "Good night, dear." Megan, "Hey, hun." Nick, "Hey, hun." Nick, "Oh, you have to go to sleep. Okay, hun." Megan says, "No, hun, it just kills me you love someone else." Nick says, "Hun, I told you, what I did, if you won't take what you can, then you aren't really interested." Megan says, "Yes, I'm interested." Nick says, "Then stop complaining when you still have me too." Nick says, "I told you that you have 10% of me. I guess you would rather be greedy instead of being grateful what you have of me." Megan says, "I'm not being greedy." Nick says, "Well, then be happy with the 10% and I'll believe you." Megan says, "I'm happy, honey." Nick says, "Good night, hun." And like 2 minutes later, he says, "Since I don't like it when someone seems greedy, if they are happy with the 10% of me, they will have to show and they won't complain at all. We'll see if you back up as what you say, hun. And if you do, well, that's good for you keeping your word." Megan says, I'm not greedy and I'm happy for anything I can get in life. Smile. I love you, babe. Nick says, love you too, hun. Glad you are grateful because this is a way to be positive, hun. And you know, if you are negative, you only attract negativity. That's why I want you to stay positive, hun. Smile. Megan says, I understand. I'm done being negative. Nick says, thanks, hun. Megan says, you're welcome, hun, anytime. Wink face. Nick says, well, that's nice to see you say, dear. Nick says, so if you are fine with what you have, does that mean we are close in every way that we talked about before still, hun? And a few minutes later, Nick says, guess you are busy. Well, I'll leave you alone if you are busy. Megan says, yes, we are very close, baby. Nick says, hun, I mean close like we talked about before. Megan says, yes, baby. Nick says, okay, well, you are treating me like we are, so I can't deny it then if you are treating me that way. Glad to see it, hun. Heart smile. Megan says, smile, you're so welcome, honey. Nick says, dear, but the question is, what would you let me do if I was there with you, though? Wink face. Megan says, anything, hun, whatever you want to do. Nick says, are you just saying that, hun? Because I don't want to be misled. Megan says, no, I'm serious, hun. Nick says, well, in that case, maybe you do appreciate having 10% of me. Let's just say that I am willing to do anything you want with me, too. Wink, smile. She sends a big wink and she says, I really do appreciate it, baby. Smile. Nick says, great. So would you want me to be intimate with you even, huh, hon? I wonder if you would love that I feel because if you feel like we talked about it, I suppose you wouldn't mind being as intimate with me in person as you could be. Wink, smile. Megan says, I'd love to be intimate, baby. Nick says, just how intimate, hun? Because if you learn anything about a true Taurus, we love intimacy so much that when we crave it, we can go on with it. And that is why I ask, baby. Wink, 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 heart. Megan says, 100% intimate, baby. Smile, smile, smile. Nick says, ooh, you get the man you wish you had with you right now, all excited, even all the way, hun? If you know what I mean by that, baby. Wink, hee hee, smile. Nick says, yes, baby, all the way. Smile. Nick says, hun, when I say I love you, you know I mean it because I still want to be intimate with you. If I could have me in you, I would love it. No regrets at all because if you feel the same, it would be worth it. Heart smile. Nick says, and the reason I say what I said is I have to have feelings for someone before I was willing to do them. With that said, that is why I wouldn't have any regrets about doing it with you, hun. Heart smile. Megan says, I feel the same way, baby. I have no regrets. Wink. Nick says, can the man who tried to make your dreams come true in bed ask one thing of you, though, baby? Megan says, yes, baby, ask away. Nick says, when we do get to do it, will you please do it with me like you mean it? If that means we are sexual, you do it with me like you mean it so it feels truly fulfilling. I promise to do my part to my full potential back, dear. Wow, that's a really weird request, friends. I know we're all pretty sure that Nick's not a virgin, but it sounds like his encounters were probably very strange. Anyway, Megan says, yes, I'd love to, baby. Nick says, so what exactly will you make sure do like you mean it then, hun? Just to see if you are listening to him, baby. Smile. Listening to me. Megan says, I do sexual things, hun. Nick says, hun, what I was looking for was the kiss, the blowjob, a hand job like you meant it unless you were on top of me, hun. Nick says, I'm not afraid to say it, hun. And then Nick says again, I was hoping you would have been in the open with it. And Nick again says, oh, you had to log off for some reason. Okay, hon, even though I was hoping you would have answered me about what I said. And Megan says, I do all of that, baby, because you mean the world to me. And Nick says, hon, I need to ask a question to show you that I am indeed serious about having time with you. Would you do whatever I wanted in the bedroom with you, like I could lead the moment? Because it is no secret the male Taurus loves to lead the moment, and that is why I'm asking, as it makes sense that I am heart. Megan says, yes, it makes sense. And I'm serious. I'm not joking. I'd like to do in bed. Nick says, but you would let your Taurus male be the one in charge is what in bed is what I'm wondering about, hun. Nick says, hun, please answer when you get a chance, since I don't want you to forget to do that for me, hun. Do that for me, please. Megan says, yes, baby. I don't know how much longer I can stay awake, baby. Nick said, it's okay if you want to get some rest. Go ahead and get some beauty rest. And if you want to talk tomorrow, we can, hun. Smile. But don't forget, I do love you, hun. And you better say it back if you are back on. And I will see you are on again if you are on again and you don't say it back. And I'll be mad if you are on and don't say it back. So please remember to say it when you have the chance, dear. Smile. Megan says, I love you tons, baby. So sorry. I have to go and get my beauty rest. I need as much as I can get before Saturday. Nick says, what's Saturday, hun? Megan says, I go to see my baby niece. Nick says, oh, I understand babysitting. I understand, hun. Just please try to be on Friday. And if you can, Saturday so we can chat. But if you aren't able Saturday, I'll understand, hun. Heart. Megan says, okay, baby, I'm going to go see her. She was born Tuesday. I'll talk to you on Friday, baby. Good night. Love you. Nick says, okay, sounds good. Love you too, hun. Good night, too. Heart. Megan says, love you, baby. Good night, dear. Nick says, thanks for the reassurance, hun. Love you too, honey. Good night. Heart. Smile. Megan says, you're welcome, baby. Love you too. Nick says, hun, smile for me. Love you too, honey. Then Nick says, guess you logged off already. Oh, well. The next morning, Megan says, hey, hun, I miss talking to you and wish somebody I could call you mine. Wish someday I could call you mine. I'm so thankful you've always been here for me, Nick. I love you. Nick says, hey, hun, you're welcome. And I was wondering if you were ever going to message me back or was too busy, but yeah, you're welcome. Megan says, yeah, sorry, I've been busy working a lot. Got to pay bills somehow. Megan says, hey, been missing you like crazy. Sucks I haven't talked to you in a long time. Sad face. Hate not talking to you. Nick says, interesting, but okay. Megan says, yeah, I figured you would say that. Nick says, I could have been much more nasty, but don't forget, I know, as you probably forgot, I can be unpredictable. Megan says, that's so true. Nick says, yeah, and you probably forgot until I just reminded you. Megan says, you're right. Nick says, go figure. It isn't like I forgot about your bad memory. Megan says, I'm sorry. Nick says, why should you say sorry when it is part of who you are? Megan says, I know, I just feel bad. Nick says, okay, but you're feeling bad because of why? Megan says, I just wish I could talk to you. I feel like I'm invading your life and you probably have a girlfriend and I'm just getting in the middle of it. Nick says, Megan, the reason I am talking to you like an adult and not spoiling you like I did the last time we did talk is because it is going to be going on 2 years. I have been with the same person and you just disappeared or I would have continued to spoil you. Megan says, fuck my life. I hate that I treat people so shitty. Nick says, you have said this before, but it don't sound new to me. I guess that way I take it as you just sounding as the old yourself. Megan says, I guess so. I guess you will forever hate me. Nick says, hate you? Whoever said I hate you? I'm just telling you why I am the way I am. If I hated you, I wouldn't have answered. Never judge a book by its cover until you have read it enough to truly understand its context, Megan. Megan says, you're so right. How stupid and blind I am. Nick says, I'm not trying to be mean. Hell, I am more intelligent now than the last time you talked to me. And I'll tell you right now, I probably would have been mean with you the way you're presuming things. Also, to put it in context, friends, like this is August 2014, and previously they were talking in March. So it's just 5 months later. Megan says, okay, you have no idea what I've gone through lately. Nick says, there you go again, judging a book by its cover. Never judge yourself to be better or worse than others around you or make yourself look like a buffoon, Megan. Megan says, oh, wow. Okay, wow. I need to open my eyes. Wow. Nick says, at times I wonder where you would be if you never met me because I can tell I am one of those people that can make you see a bigger picture to the life around us in general. Megan says, I love how you're such an amazing person. Wish I never let you go. I totally regret it. Nick says, I'm not even going to get into you regretting things that I have changed so much since the last time I talked to you to the point you don't know me anymore. But most of my change is for the better to myself. Megan says, I get it. I guess people change. Nick says, Only when people want to change. The past couple years have taught me a lot, so of course, I'll change based on what I've seen. Megan says, "Oh, okay." Nick says, "The only part of me you still know is the kid at heart that will never change, just that my mind is becoming more and more mature as time goes on to where mentally I am changing every 3 months, I would estimate." Megan says, "Heart, that's why I still like you, even though I can't have you." Nick says, "Why would you like that about me?" Megan says, "I don't know." Nick says, "Megan, you do know you just aren't telling me that you already admitted that you liked it. You don't just like something without a cause. That would be considered thinking blindly." Megan says, "You're right. I'm so blind." My God, this poor girl. Oh. Nick says, "All right. If you don't want to tell me why you like something about me, suit it yourself. I'm not going to waste my time trying to get something out of someone if they don't care to open up." Megan says, "I like that you will talk to even if it's in a different way." Nick says, "How does that relate to you liking me always being a kid at heart?" Now Megan's about to lose her shit here. She says, "What do you want me to say? I'm trying." Oh my God, friends. Okay, there's so much more of this, but I've got 45 minutes of footage to edit and get my coughing, sneezing, and throat clearing out of it so I don't gross y'all out. And then I'm probably gonna have to lay back down. I feel better today, but still not 100%. But anyway, I wanted to, get a proper video out to y'all because I miss chatting with y'all in the comments and talking about the case. So anyway, as always, we'll go out with a palate cleanser, and I hope you're all doing good. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, friends.